guys? Welcome to another edition of K-Cards Baseball. Thanks for joining me today, wherever you might be. Today what we are going to do, I do get several questions all the time from subscribers wanting to know more information about my PC and what cards I have in my PC. I actually, if I can pull the camera away here, this primarily is my PC. As you can see, I've got quite a few boxes and boxes of cards. That box is loaded with blasters and whatnot, ready for my 1,000 subscriber video. We'll talk about that at a different day. But I have all these cards and books and everything else, and this is primarily what my PC is. And they go back from the 70s, 60s, all the way up to current. So that is generally what my PC looks like from a wide view angle. But I do have people that ask me questions, want to know about my better cards in my PC. So I thought I would do a couple videos about that. It is rather difficult for me to narrow it down, my collection, my PC, down to, let's say, just 10 cards of my favorite 10 cards, because I have quite a large selection to choose from. So what I thought I would do, instead of just picking 10 cards out of my PC, is go at it from different eras. So today what we're going to talk about are my 10, actually 15 best cards from the 50s and 60s, and then I'll make one for the 70s, one for the 80s, one for the 90s, and actually I don't have very many from the years of 2000 to 2010 in that era, actually 2000 to 2015, because I honestly wasn't doing much collecting during that time. That was a time when I was heavily involved in golf, to be honest with you, and that was also a time when my son was growing up, and there were different priorities during that time. I didn't really get back heavy into collecting until, I would say, 2020, 2021, in that era, in those years. But I do have some cards from those years every Wednesday during those years, just to give you guys a little backstory here. I don't want to make this video too long, so I won't ramble on too much, hopefully. Anyways, during that time, the 2000 through like 2012, 13, I would take my son every Wednesday to Target, and we'd buy some packs of cards, and we'd go to Culver's next door and sit and have dinner and open up packs of cards while we were having dinner. So I do have some cards from those eras, but not too many, to be honest with you. Let's get into these cards from the 1950s and 1960s. My first 5 are actually honorable mentions. I do have actually 15 cards to go through, but I'll go through these first 5 pretty quick, because they were ones that I had hard time eliminating from my top 10 list from cards from that time, but I also wanted to bring them to you and show you them to you. My first up is this 1966 Jim Kaat card. I'm not going to go over the condition of each card, because to be honest with you, when I'm talking about cards, vintage cards from this era, I don't buy cards from the 50s and 60s and 70s, for that matter, based on condition. I don't honestly care that much about condition. I more care about just having the card and owning the card. So some of these cards might not necessarily be in gradable condition or have a tremendous amount of value, because some of them might be wrinkled or have wrinkles on them or creases, or the corners are all dinged up. But honestly, I don't really care. I don't have these cards based on price, and I didn't categorize these cards based on price. I categorized these cards based on my personal likability of the card and how much I like the card, not based on value at all, because I don't own these cards for value, if that makes sense to you guys. Next up is the 1965 Brooks Robinson card. I do like this card quite a bit, and yeah, just kind of a cool card. It actually is centered pretty well, and the corners are dinged up, but again, whatever. 1963 Gaylord Perry card. Now this isn't his actual rookie card, even though this is a 1963 Rookie Stars card. His actual rookie card is the 1962 card. I did cover that in a video I did a few weeks ago of the top 10 rookie card, Hall of Fame rookie cards to collect from the 50s and 60s for under $100. That was really a good video. If you haven't had a chance to check that video out, definitely go back and do that. I didn't take these cards out of sleeves because, again, I'm not doing these to sell them or any of that kind of stuff. I'm just doing these to show you guys what the cards look like. Next up is the 1968 Roberto Clemente. It's always weird to see his name on a card as Bob Clemente because I've always known him as Roberto Clemente. He probably, personally, if I had to jump into his brain, probably never liked being called Bob because that Americanized his name too much. He probably much preferred to be called Roberto. Just from my thoughts and what I would think he would think. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that. But yeah, this is a 1966 or 1968 Roberto Clemente. I always liked the 1968 cards. I always liken them to kind of like a hay look to them with the edges. They're hard to get in decent condition because of that issue. The corners are always dinged up or the edges are always screwed up, but I do have quite a few 68s. Speaking of 68, we do have this 1968 Bob Gibson card. And pretty nice card, pretty well centered, corners are in decent shape. But yeah, Bob Gibson was a super stud in the 60s for sure. The 1967 World Series MVP. Look at that ERA in 1966, 2.44, 21-12. That is pretty crazy. Anyways, that is that card. The rest of these cards are going to be my top 10 favorite cards from the 50s and 60s. Number 10 on my list is this card, and you're going to be, I'll be honest with you, you're going to see some Minnesota Twins, maybe a couple Harmon Killebrews, maybe a Rod Carew. So you're going to see definitely some Minnesota Twins with them being my favorite team. I think this is the only Tony Oliva that I have in the top 10, and this would be his 1963 Rookie Stars card. His name is actually Pedro Oliva, that is his real name, but he still to this day goes by Tony Oliva. I have met him a couple times at various different occasions when I was a kid, and he was always one of those larger-than-life figures. It was pretty cool to personally meet him in person as a kid, looking up to Tony Oliva when I was 9 or 10 years old. He came to a couple of my baseball games, actually. Ed Kranepool is also on this card, so this is a really nice 1963 card of Tony Oliva. Number 9 on the list is my only Sandy Koufax card that I have in my collection. I actually didn't know that I had this card until I was doing a box review, going through a box of cards that I had just randomly thrown into a collection box, and this card happened to be in it. I didn't know I actually owned this card. This is a 1964, I believe. Sandy Koufax Strikeout Leaders card. It also has Don Drysdale on it as well, so 2 Hall of Famers there on this one card. So I always thought this card was pretty cool. I would actually like to get a regular Sandy Koufax card from the 50s and 60s, but again, they are not cheap to come by. If I find one in a lower grade condition, like a 3 or maybe even a 2, that isn't too all creased up and all wrinkled up and all banged up, I might actually pick it up. But yeah, I'll keep looking for it. I do have a big card show next week. Actually, the state of Minnesota card show is going on. They have 2 a year. They have one in April. I did make a couple of videos from the one I attended in April. I will be going just one day this year, next Saturday. So I don't know that I'll be looking specifically for a Sandy Koufax card, but you never know. It's hard to find a decent one for under $500, let's say. 1961 Frank Robinson card. Frank Robinson, again, was one of my favorite players. This is actually when he was with the Reds, even though, of course, we know him most as a Baltimore Oriole. So a really cool card here, Frank Robinson. I don't know what year, I don't know when his rookie card was. I think it was like 57 was probably his rookie year. I don't really remember. You guys can let me know down below, but I would consider him one of the definite top 10 players from that era for sure. Probably one of the top 10 players of all time is Frank Robinson. Another guy that I would put on that top 10 list from the top 10 players from that decade or that era in the 50s and 60s and early 70s is this guy, Ernie Banks, and this is a 1966 Ernie Banks card. Again, the condition isn't that great, but again, really doesn't matter much to me because this is probably, I think, the only Ernie Banks card that I actually own from that era. So not one that'll probably ever go up for sale, even though it probably isn't worth that much, but don't really care that much. This card is actually, when I was looking at this last night, is actually pretty nice. A 66 Lou Brock card. Centering is actually pretty decent on it. The corners are in pretty decent shape. No creases on the card at all. The back is in nice shape. But yeah, Lou Brock was the guy back then when it came to stolen bases, and he held the stolen base record. Him, Maury Wills, and Ricky Henderson were the guys, but he held the stolen base record up until, of course, Ricky Henderson broke it. The 59, I think this is 59, yeah. 1959 Harmon Killebrew card. This to me is really a cool card. I always liked this card for some reason. I don't exactly know why. This is back in the Washington Senators days before they moved to Minneapolis in 1961 when they became the Minnesota Twins at that point. So this is a really cool Harmon Killebrew card. Again, it is one of the years where they put all the players' lettering in lowercase. Kind of unusual there. They always seem to do that. Some years they would put the players' names in uppercase letters, but this is a year they did it in lowercase. 1971 was also another year they did all the cards in lowercase letters. This will be an uppercase year of 1966, and this is a Willie Mays 1966 card. I've actually owned this card 3 different times. I owned it, and I think I sold one. So it's kind of come and gone in my possession, but I'll probably keep this card. Even though this card really isn't in that great a shape, when I looked at it last night, it does have a crease on it. You can see a crease right here. It does have a crease in the upper card part. There's another crease down here. But I do still like this card, a 1966 Willie Mays, and this is the only actual Willie Mays card that I actually have in my collection. Another guy that I would like to invest in more and buy more of his cards, but again, it is an affordability issue for sure. Next up is this 1968 Rod Carew card. I actually bought this card from a card show back in like the early 90s, I want to say. And at the time, I don't know that I knew that much about collecting because this is his Gold Cup card, and I actually thought at the time that I was buying his rookie card. I way overpaid for this for the early 90s to spend $60 on a 1968 Rod Carew card. I thought for sure I was getting his rookie card, not knowing that 67 is his actual rookie card. But this is still a really nice card nonetheless for a 68. The corners are really nice. The centering is obviously a little bit off left to right. Top to bottom is actually okay. But the color on this card is actually really, really, really nice. So this is a 68 Rod Carew, a second year card. And Rod Carew is, with Tony Oliva and Harmon Killebrew, the top 3 for me as far as my favorite players of all time. Kent Hrbek I'll throw in there too. Kirby Puckett, pretty much any of the Twins legends for sure. Next up, another Harmon Killebrew card, but this is his 1957 rookie card. Really nice rookie card here of Harmon Killebrew. Again, condition, corners are dinged up. The centering is off a little bit on the left or right and top to bottom, but it is what it is for a card of that age. I think I only paid like $50 or $60 for it. I don't know what the value of this card is currently. I'm guessing it's probably more than that. The card is actually really nice as far as the color, and there aren't any creases on it and that type of thing, but Harmon Killebrew is the guy. Actually, when I played baseball in my youth or played hockey, I always wore number 3 in honor of Harmon Killebrew, so any hockey jersey I have always has the number 3 on it because that was Harmon's number. And number 1 on my list is my only Mickey Mantle card. 1958 Mickey Mantle Most Valuable Player card. Again, not a card that is in that great a shape. Corners are obviously dinged up. Does have a crease down here in the middle right by the Y. I think there's another crease somewhere on this card. But I actually got this card as part of a collection that I bought back in, like, I want to say the mid-90s. I was collecting pretty heavily at that time, and I bought a couple of people's collections, and this was, I think I paid like $200 for this guy's entire collection, and he had anything from like this era, from like the 60s, had some 70s cards. I think I got this card, the Ernie Banks, and the Brooks Robinson out of that collection, maybe even the Sandy Koufax. So not a bad price for buying a guy's entire collection and getting a Mickey Mantle card in it. This card is probably worth more than what I paid for that entire collection, to be honest with you, even though it is not in that great a shape. So my favorite card, my only Mickey Mantle card that I have. I would like to get a couple more Mickey Mantles, but I don't know that I will ever be able to do that because of how ridiculously priced his cards are. So this will always be my one and only Pride and Joy Mickey Mantle card. Anyways, guys, that is all I have for you guys tonight. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little look into my PC and my cards from the 1950s and 1960s that I really, really enjoy. I enjoy talking about vintage cards and about these cards in particular, and I really enjoyed showing them to you. So if you have any comments about these cards or these cards in my collection or how I have them ranked, please let me know. I'd be very curious to see what you guys have to say. That is all I got for you guys. Thanks for checking out the video and all my videos. And if you aren't a current subscriber, please hit that like and subscribe. And we will talk to you guys later. Be safe and happy collecting.